get started once a few people come on board. Welcome to the Facebook Live, dealing with winter solstice for your creative life. And I'm Sharon Burton of Spark Your Creative Coaching, and very happy that you're with me today. And happy winter solstice. I felt that this might be a nice thing to do at the end of the year as we go through the holidays and reflect on all the things that 2021 has brought us. But I felt it was also important that we do this in light of our own creativity. There's a lot of people talking about end of year reflections for a variety of pieces of our own personal lives. But I thought it was important that we take time to reflect on our creative life. And we don't sometimes give our creative life the kind of attention that we really need to give it. And because when we become frustrated, blocked, or disappointed in our creative output, what we've tried to attempted to do, we forget that perhaps we're not looking at things from a perspective of planning for the next year, planning for ourselves, and also learning about what our creative outputs have done. So this is for you in recognition of winter solstice. Now, if I'm not going to get into the huge piece of it, but what we are going to talk about tonight is just sort of a basic thing about what is winter solstice and why is that something that we need to look at. Winter solstice is basically today is the shortest day in the Western Hemisphere. This is sort of the darkest night. And then from this point forward, it'll start getting lighter, later and later, and then by the spring, by the summer, we have our long days, and then that's when you have your longest day, which is summer solstice that happens in June. So this is a time of contemplation. This is the first day of winter. In a lot of cultures, we recognize the solstice with festivals and different kinds of celebrations. this is not so much a celebration, but a chance to reflect on your creativity. So, if you're with me today, just let me know that you're there, and also let me know where you're watching from. Would love to acknowledge you. And when we think about the darkness, when we think about the winter, we're moving into a season where it's dark, where we tend to incubate, when we tend to stay closed. It's colder. And as we do those things, we also need to look at our own creativity and say, what is it that we've learned from the past? What is it that we want for the future? Um, Darkness also tends to be mysterious. When we think about things that are going into a dark period, it's a mysterious time. And hello, Beverly from Annapolis, and Tisha from Pittsburgh. Oh, my brother used to live in Pittsburgh. And watching from Connecticut. Okay, Connecticut. All right, ladies, thank you for joining me. Um, One of the things about darkness, it's mysterious. And by the way, if you see me looking over here, I can't see your comments on my computer, but I can see it on my tablet. So that's why I want to kind of keep checking back and forth. So I appreciate y'all sharing. When we talk about darkness and when we talk about, the longest night, there's a certain mystery to that. And when we think about our creativity, we basically come at it many times from a place of darkness. We may have an ideal of what we want to do, but for the most part, it comes from nowhere. It doesn't come from often from a enlightened or light source. So I wanted to read something about mystery and creativity. This is from Affirmations from Artists by Eric Maisel, who is one of my personal heroes in creativity coaching. And he has this page on here that talks about mystery, and he talks about it from the point of view of us as creatives, and then as working through the mystery to reach what it is that we want to do. And he says here, sometimes things are inexplicable. Sometimes things are explicable, but so very beautifully that the elegance of their explication is its own mystery. How could cellos, bassoons, and flutes have come to be? And why should their singing together move a person to tears? How can pigment on canvas have the power to entice a person to devote a whole life to painting? Mystery is the artist's first subject of study, her best subject, even her only subject. And this is an affirmation I'd like for you all to think about. When something is clear, it is clear. I am the first to say so. But how much mystery still remains after that? I am mysterious. The earth is mysterious. Every particle of the universe is mysterious. That mystery is simply everywhere, fills me with passion and inspiration. And I'm going to put that in the show notes or in the video notes so you can have that. But when we talk about darkness, we're talking about mystery. We're not talking about something that's always clear, and it's talking about your own inner passion and inspiration to move forward with what it is that you want to do. Hi, Sarah. Thank you for joining. So what I thought I'd do, I hosted a wonderful yoga nidra practice over the weekend for some creatives that really went very well. And as part of that practice, we explored these questions, and I thought that's why I came with this idea of actually doing this session today, because I said, a lot of people could benefit from that. And even if they're not with us live, they can come back and look at these questions. So I'm going to share these questions for you. And if you have your something to write with, perhaps a journal or some paper that you want to write with, I suggest that you write these questions down and explore them. And if you want to share some of your answers or your thoughts about them before we end our live tonight, we can do that. But most importantly is this, these are some questions that I have been thinking about for my own practice. I am an artist as well. I'm a poet. And I had some wins this year, and I had some things that didn't go as well as I'd like it to have gone. But as I think about 2022, I think about the winter, which is going to be a strong period of creativity for me. And I suspect for many of you, because, we have the holidays and, whether we see people or not, or travel or whatever, a lot of us are taking time off to, not only be with family, but also to catch up with ourselves. And that's what Solstice is about. It's about being still. It's about sort of closing in and reflecting before we start opening ourselves out in the spring. And, that's important too, because when we look at the creative cycle, this is the part of contemplation. This is the beginning of the creative cycle. We start thinking and start reflecting on what it is that we want to do, reflecting on what worked, what didn't in the past. So I just want to share these questions. I was going to read them. I'm hoping I can share them. Let's see. Let's see here. All of a sudden it's not letting me share my page. Oh, okay, I see my comments now. Okay. Facebook can be really interesting at times. You don't really know what it's going to do. But anyway, it did allow me to do this earlier. Let's see. Okay, well, if it didn't, I'll actually put these in the comments. How about that? Okay. My first question, and you all can write this down, and I'm going to put them in the comments in a few minutes, is 3 new ways that my creativity expressed itself this year were. What are the 3 new ways that my creativity expressed itself this year? Write that down. And thank you, Sarah, on that. Three new ways that my creativity expressed itself this year. And when we talk about that, if you're not sure about that, think about, did you try something new? Did you try a new way of being creative? Did you try new materials? Did you try a new medium? Did you try a different way of going about your practice? What did you do that was new? And if you can't come up with 3, that's fine. Just think of what was new, what was different about the way you approached your creative practice this year. And I just put that question in the chat. My second question, and I'm going to put this in the chat right now, What is a self-limiting belief that you have about your creativity that you can release into the light, or you can release before 2022? Do you feel that, did something happen that made you doubt your creative ability? Made you think about, I'm not good enough? Or, or do you have some feelings about, whether or not you need to continue your creative practice for whatever reason? What are some self-limiting things that you're telling yourself that you need to release? Because you're here because you know that you need to release that. You know that you're talented, that you're creative. Despite whatever somebody said, somebody did, something that didn't go right this year. But what are some of the things that are kind of ruminating in your head, saying to yourself that I need to release this? This is not serving me. Because any negative thoughts that you have about your creative practice is not serving you at all. So write those down. If it's more than one belief, write them all down. What is it that you do not? There you go, Cindy. How you doing, Cindy? It's good to see you. That it will never work out. Write it out. Say to yourself that this is something that I am going to release, that I am no longer going to hold as part of 2022, because we're not bringing in any of those negative thoughts in, okay? So the first question, 3 new ways that your creativity has expressed itself this year. What are they? And as I said, it could be the way that you did it. Maybe you got on Instagram for the first time to share your art. That's one of the new ways. Maybe you published a book that you never published before. And then the second question is, what is a self-limiting belief that you have about your creativity that you can release into the light, into and leave behind in 2021? Okay? Just put the next one in and take your time with these. And if you're not able to get through all these questions today, don't worry about it. They're going to be here. And you can always work on these. It's not about, oh, we got to do it by the end of the time. No. This is stuff that I'm just sharing with you to reflect as you move into 2022 and as we enter this season of winter, you know. Securing support for my creative life during the winter season looks like. What does that look like? We all need support, and if anyone's feeling or makes you feel that you don't need that support, that's not true. We all need support, whether it is your spouse, whether it is your kids, your parents, your siblings, your friends, your fellow artists. We all need support. We're also dealing with a pandemic that doesn't seem to want to go away. And so a lot of us are creating in isolation or semi-isolation. We need support, we need connection, we need community. What does that look like for you? What kind of support do you feel you'll need this winter? And when I say support, it doesn't have to be financial or anything like that. It could be accountability partner, a fellow artist. My cousin, who I just met this year for the first time, is a fabulous woman who is an artist and a poet. And she is phenomenal. I spent an afternoon this fall co-creating with her. And I look forward to doing it again, and we had so much fun. And that was kind of the support I needed. Oh, okay, request, you're not seeing them in the comments? Okay, I'm sorry, Ashandra. The third question is securing support for my creative life during the winter season looks like. What does support for your creative life look like during this winter season? And I'm going to reply to you, see if it might show up that way. Okay. Hopefully you'll be able to see it. Okay. And Cindy shares there's 3 new ways that she developed her art this year. She started posting more on social media. She worked more on the process of creating art. And she wrote poetry and posted on social. Oh, very good, Cindy. I haven't seen you in so long. We have to catch up sometime soon. All right. And Beverly, thank you for sharing, Beverly. I mentally stop pop-up negative thoughts by visualizing self not going down a rabbit hole in my mind. That's actually very effective visualization. When you visualize something totally different than what has popped up in your mind that was negative, is always a very effective thing, and it's even more so because as creatives we tend to think visually, right? So if you can visualize something the opposite of what you feel, that's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is affirmations. I am big on affirmations. Taking a negative thought and writing an affirmation in the positive. I am a talented artist, instead of saying, oh, I'm not talented. Oh, this happened. Those are the kinds of things. Tisha says, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Yes, I need to start sharing my writing with others, particularly since I'm going to Tuscany. Oh, okay. I want to go to Tuscany for a women's writing retreat in May. Oh, my. I would love to do that. That's kind of a bucket list thing right there. Oh, wow. Yes, that is positive motivation. Right. Absolutely. Being able to find ways to become comfortable with who we are as creative people, owning our creative identity, you know. And yes, I'm not going to, social media is it can be very intimidating. It can be sometimes very discouraging, but you have to understand and you have to think through your purpose. One of the things that I think a lot of us forget especially when we're on social media and we're looking for the likes and everything, is that our purpose, or is our purpose is to share who we are, no matter if we get validation, from the likes or whatever. Because as you know, all these platforms, they got weird algorithms. You may or may not be seen. But if you're coming from a place of, I'm sharing this with the world, somehow, some way, someone's going to benefit from my writing, from my art, from who I am and how I show up. That's a whole different energy. And it takes you away from the chasing, the validation, admiration. And that's something I'm learning, even as I go along with this. Okay, Cindy has a great response to the support during the winter months with your creativity. Her support would look like an art share group that meets once a month. Okay, all right. And maybe I might facilitate one. We'll see. I enjoy doing stuff like that. And Sarah says she developed a Reiki practice co-creating with energy. I enjoy talking more about taking more art journaling classes. Okay, I made my first Christmas art journal. Start posting on IG. Yes, yes, yes. That's the stuff we're talking about. Because when we look at what we did differently, it is about celebrating what we did differently. It's not about looking at the closed door. That's why we're talking about what did you do differently. When we talk about what self talk that I'm saying to myself that I know deep down isn't true, that I need to get rid of going into 2022. That's important because those are the things that may keep us on a hamster wheel about our creativity year after year after year. And so we're talking about a time where a lot of people are coming at us with, reflection stuff, and we never think about our creative practice and how that can show up differently for us. Yes. All right. Let me go with the next question. This is the last one. I want you all to really think hard about this. And even if you don't have the answer today, that's cool. But when you take time, we talk about stillness, right? We talk about stillness, and we talk about this time of year being about stillness. We're recovering. We're in contemplation mode. We're in meditation space, right? The last question is the fresh new project that wants to be born in 2022 is. What is the fresh new project, the new thing, whatever's been bouncing in your head that you want to try? Even if it's not, if it's outside of your creative practice. For example, I tried poetry a couple years ago for the first time. That was a little different. I wasn't expecting to do it, but it came out. And I allowed myself to try it and to do it. So it may be outside of what you traditionally do. If you do music, maybe you want to try a performance art presentation, or visual art, or dance. What is it what fresh new project, even if whatever it is, do you feel is churning, that's coming into your consciousness, that's saying, I want to be born in 2022. I'm your muse. What is your muse might be saying to you that is hinting that she wants to have happen, the goddess, what is she saying? Let's see, Sarah was saying with limiting beliefs, the art isn't good enough to share it. Yep, let's get rid of that. Support, yes, I would love to find a creative group to join. Okay. All right. And that's something I may consider. Okay. So, just to summarize for your writing tonight, 3 new ways that my creativity expressed itself this year were a self-limiting belief I have about my creativity that I could release into the light or leave in 2021 is securing support for my creative life during the winter season looks like, and the fresh new project that wants to be born in 2022. All right. Okay, Cindy says she wants to create a large mural. All right. All right. Think about that. And if you don't know, that's fine. But this is the time to plant the seed. When things are dark and we're closed and we're hibernating and we're incubating, this is the time to ask your muse, to ask yourself, and it may not come right away. There may not be an answer tonight about what you want to create in 2022, and that's fine. Don't get caught up in, I don't know. I don't know. I have some projects I've been working on, but I don't know. But you know what? I'm going to take this time period to continually to ask and then to listen, to get still and to listen. And that's what it's about. It's about getting still. It's not about moving around. It's about, okay, let me hear what wants to come out from me. I know I'm working on a writing project now. I know that's one thing, but there may be some other things. And I may not know until well into 2022, and that's fine. But just ask the question, because that allows your muse to say, okay, she's ready to do some new stuff. Okay, I'll reveal when it's time. I'll reveal when I know that she's ready. And it may even just be jotting down some ideals that you've always wanted to do and seeing what resonates the most and allowing yourself to let that resonation happen. That's right, Beverly. Just like a seed that's in, this is the time to germinate our own creativity. Yeah, it's planting the seeds and creating the conditions in the soil for some wonderful things to come up in the spring and maybe even next month, you know. So this is something, these questions are questions that you can contemplate throughout the winter season, through this time of incubation and planting seeds. And they can guide you as you move forward into 2022. Did y'all know that January is International Creativity Month? Did y'all know that? And with that, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're just going to be creating all over the place during that month. No. But it's a month of inspiration. It's a month to really look inside yourself. It's a month to explore. It's a month to, if you're able to get out and about, you know, I'm big on artist dates like Julia Cameron. What are some ideas that can inspire me for my next project or for my current project? Keep that in mind, and keep that in mind through the winter months. You may not get out, but what's online? What's on YouTube? What's on, you know, line that if you did some searches on even some research on a topic that you want to tackle for your creative life, what are some things that you can find, that you can see? So, you know, think about that. Think about those questions. And if you need to come back into the comments to see those questions, please do so. And like I said, this is not about finishing it tonight. This is about working with those questions, and as you go into the new year, really contemplating those, and really contemplating, particularly the most important thing I think is what you're going to release that's negative about your creativity, because that keeps the cycle of stuff that you don't want going, you know. And, you know, finding a way to replace those messages, as some mentioned, you know, visualizing something different, writing an affirmation that flips it on its head. Those are the kinds of things that you want to try to do. Yes, planting seeds. Does anybody have any questions or anything about those questions, or, you know, moving forward with your creativity as you prepare for 2022? It's good to have you. Let me tell you what's coming up for me and some things that you might want to consider. I am hosting a vision board mandala workshop on January 9th. And with that, it's really just like a vision board workshop, but we actually are going to be working with the circle. And we're going to look at our creativity from 4 different areas that the mandala is looking at. We're going to look at, what do we want to see our creativity as it it relates to the community, the environment, to ourselves. I can't remember the fourth one, but I might have hit all of them. But anyway, um, what do we want to, how do we want to see our creativity visually? So that workshop's coming up. And if you're on Facebook, I believe I sent it out. I think it's posted. If not, you can look on my website at www.sparkyourcreative.com, and I'm going to put it in here. It's great to see you too, Sarah. Um, you can check that out, and you can see what I have available with that. And then I'm also going to be working with Delray Artisans again. And we're going to be doing the Artist Way workshop, 10 weeks, starting on the 16th of January. So look on Delray Artisans for that. So if you look under programs for Delray Artisans, you can sign up for that. We're going to be doing it on Sunday afternoons from 3 to 4:30. And, I would really love to have you for that. If you've never done an Artist Way or want to do it with some people, we really have a great time. And so you're welcome to sign up and participate with that. I'll be doing more workshops. I am a Yoga Nidra guide as well, so I'm going to be doing some Yoga Nidra practices. If you've never done Yoga Nidra, it is an awesome thing. It's just, there's no movement. It's just laying down and getting a guided meditation throughout the whole process. And I'm thinking I'm going to start doing them as part of the new moon. I think the new moon, I do a lot along with the moon cycles and all that kind of stuff. The new moon is a wonderful way to start fresh each year. It's just sort of like you just restart for the next 30 days. And you set your goals and you set your intentions, and I really believe in that. And so I'll probably be offering, I don't know if I want to start in January or later in the year, but I'm definitely going to be offering those and try to do that once a month around the new moon. So if you're interested in that, you'll be getting some information about that. If you want to join my email list and keep up with everything, just visit my website. There is on the front page, if you scroll down, you can subscribe to the email list. But either way, those are some wonderful ways to kickstart your creativity, to create community. Somebody mentioned that. So the Artist Way is a wonderful way of doing that. I am going to look into possibly maybe doing an art share type thing. But most importantly, go through those questions. Go through it tonight. Just get your beverage and look at your art and look at what it is that you want to do. Somebody's is already manifesting a trip overseas for writing. What is it that you want to do? One of the things that is popping in my head for next year is an art residency. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I know that if I plant that seed, somehow or another that's going to happen. And I would love to just get away and just do my art or my writing. And we'll see if that will happen in 2022. That's one of the things that I'm really looking to do for myself. But anyway, Beverly says, my powerful takeaway is to immediately restate any limited belief in a positive way. Oh, you're welcome, Beverly. And I just want to thank all of you that made it tonight for this special talk. I'm hoping that you all will get something from this, and that somehow you ended up feeling, inspired by this talk. didn't want to keep people long. I know this is a busy season, holidays and all that, and the hustle and bustle. But I really encourage you to think about the questions, think about ways to get around that. And I will be having some workshops and stuff about negative thinking and everything too, and affirmations and some of the things that you all mentioned. But think about it. Think about what are some negative things that might have affected how things turned out. I know I am. You all are awesome. I am going to put this affirmation quote from Eric on here. And meanwhile, let me know if you all have any questions or anything that you want me to address before I close. Anybody else want to share what their takeaway is? It's about mystery, working through the mystery. Where am I located? Oh, you're welcome. I am located in the what we call the DMV, the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. I'm in what they call Southern Maryland, and I'm right outside of Washington, DC. Everything I do at this point is online, so you don't have to, like the Artist Way is all going to be on Zoom. And the mandala workshop is going to be on Zoom as well. And I would love to have you simply everywhere. And thank you all for showing up. I really appreciate it. I sent you information how to find you. You can also find me on Instagram. I am on Instagram as Spark Your Creative. You can add yourself to the Facebook page that has a lot of information as well. But my wish for you during the holiday season is to contemplate, to take advantage of some time to get still, to think through what it is that you've done well and what you want to see happen going forward. If you don't have the answers right away, don't worry about it. Just marinate on those questions. Just marinate on them. Next month, we have the Artist Way, wonderful way to connect with people, starting on January 16th. And then Vision Board Workshop, Vision Mandala Workshop. That's going to be on the 9th. And would love to see all of you there. And there'll be stuff coming up too. But I want to thank you again, wishing you a wonderful holiday season, wishing you a wonderful 2022. And despite all that's going on, it's about keeping your creative light shining, because you are inspirational to so many people right now that are in the dark. And know that no matter what has occurred this year, people are relying on us to help them get through. And believe me, artists and creatives are the ones that are really helping us get through the pandemic and all the other stuff that has been going on. And we need you. We need your light. And stay safe and creative, my friends. Take care. Thank you.